Hello friends, happy Friday. I have what I hope, anyway, I'm planning to be a super cute little project. I've kind of had this idea in my head for a little while, so I'm really excited. I finally got all the supplies together, and I'm gonna make it, and it's gonna be great. Okay, so first things first, this is the thrifted find. So it's a wooden bowl. I guess, like, people could put, I guess you could put decor and, like, make a centerpiece with it. Or I guess maybe people put, like, fruit and that kind of stuff in it. But anyway, it's a nice wooden bowl that I got at the local thrift shop for $1. So we're going to use that, definitely. And then, let me start with these. Make some space here. And then I got these two adorable little corks. And this was kind of the original inspiration. I got one a couple weeks ago, and then I was just waiting around for the other one. But I think they look kind of like little mushrooms. So let's paint them up. Let's start with that. And I think we're going to have a cute little, I don't know if you'd really call it a centerpiece, but like a cute little display piece to go along with my frog decor. So I have quite a bit of frog themed decor that I'm going to use in my entryway. Kind of, like for the summer theme or whatnot. And so I just wanted to add a little something to it. So I thought this would be cute. So let's just go ahead. We're just painting what essentially is going to be the stem of our mushroom here, white. And being that it's cork, it should dry like super fast. This cork should soak up this paint. I would imagine so. But anyway, these are bottle tops from what I believe is like a tequila style bottle. So in case you guys don't know, I work 1 day a week. Sometimes I help out a little bit more than that, but basically just 1 day a week at one of the local establishments here in our town. And whenever we empty out, our bottles, we recycle them and whatnot, the glass. But typically the corks just kind of get, like tossed aside. So I thought, what, let's take these. Free craft supplies are always good craft supplies, right? And see if we can make some kilo mushrooms with them. I'm thinking because, like Cinco de Mayo was not too long ago, that's probably why we were able to get another one. Because I don't feel like that is a bottle that we go through too often. So it may be a minute before I can get another one, but that's okay. 2 will be just fine for what I want to do. But yeah, if you partake in that kind of stuff, keep your corks. You can always do something fun with them. All right, so we don't need absolute perfect coverage because I think I am going to kind of like dinge this up a little bit with some distress ink or antique wax, something to make it look a little bit like it's been in the dirt. But I want to get at least a decent coat on the bottom here. And like I said, it should not take long at all to dry. So actually, let me flip this over and see if I can't get it to kind of rest like that while we do the other one. And I'm just using white acrylic paint straight out of the cap. No reason to dirty up a paint tray. And if I need more, I'll just take my paint, shake it up, and get more in my cap, which I actually might need to do because I'm starting to run a little low. But anyway, as you guys jump in, be sure to say hello. I don't think I introduced myself. My name is April. You guys are watching my channel, Chalking Up the Walls, and you are in my craft room. So welcome. Thanks for joining on this fun Friday late afternoon. Hope you guys had a great Friday so far. Hopefully you got something planned for your evening that's fun and exciting. I don't think we have a whole lot planned for our evening. I had a pretty full day though, so that's all good. Local high school had their academic awards ceremony today, so I attended that because my daughter received an award, which was cool, and some recognition for some other things she's done throughout the year. So that was good. I started my day off at the local high school. Always fun. And then, yeah, like I said, I don't think there's a whole ton of big plans going on tonight. I do have to run my husband over to the the one town over to pick up his motorcycle. He had it serviced. So we have to go and pick that up after I'm off of here, but I told him I want to make this, so you're just going to have to give me a minute. And he will. So, anyway, here we go. So, like I said, we're just painting the stems of these little mushrooms right now. And I think we've got this one done. Just taking our little paintbrush and kind of smoothing out our lines a little bit. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. They're mushrooms. Growing in the woods, right? So they're going to have a little character to them. But I want to make sure I got at least the bulk of it covered in the white. So you can't see that cork coming through. Okay. Perfect. All right, that looks good. Let's see what this white looks like now that it, oops. I want you to sit kind of upright. Don't fall over on me. It's all good. Yeah, that looks good. Mostly dry. I'm going to do one more coat on just a couple of these little areas that the cork definitely soaked up the paint, and you kind of see some of that brown coming through. But again, not the end of the world. All right, let's get these coated, and then I can move into this bowl. So like I was telling you, I got this bowl at the local thrift shop for $1. And it's just cute. I was trying to come up with, you know, like I said, I've had this idea to do something with these corks for a little while, but I didn't know exactly how that was going to play out. And then I got this thing, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with that. And then they just kind of happened to be sitting on my craft desk, sort of next to each other, and the light bulb went off. I was like, you know what? These are going to work cute together. Okay, so I think this last coat on these are going to be good. And then, let's see what this one looks like. Quick little dry with our heat tool. Tidy up some of these edges where our paint lines are like really profound. And we're good to go. All right. One more little section here, and this will be all good. We don't have to worry too much about the bottom because the bulk of that's going to be covered. Okay, so let's just kind of like let those sit there for a minute. Let's put our brush in a little bit of water. I'll clean that up a little later. And then while these, we're going to need our white again. Though while these kind of dry, let's check this out. Okay, so there is, I don't know if you can really see it. Yeah, you can. So there is a little bit of blue paint from wherever this previously lived that I kind of, I mean, I don't hate it. It's fine and all, but I think I want to try to darken it. And I probably should be using gloves, but I think I'm just going to attempt to use this antique wax and see if it'll work for me. All right, so that is a lot. Let's see if we can get most of that to go back in. All right, so I just took a paper towel and just kind of like dabbed it, and then I'm just gonna like smash it on there because I don't want this to be real dark, but I just kind of want to camouflage this blue a little bit. So I'm just gonna kind of like dab on there and see if I can't darken that blue with this wax. Not really. Okay. So it definitely makes for a cool, because I tried to sand it and it took off some of the finish, and that's why I was like, maybe I can just use the wax. And that's definitely filling in where I sanded it, so that's a win. But I'm not really getting that blue paint covered. So we could definitely take our sander and sand it down a little bit and then just fill that back in with the wax. Maybe that's what we'll do. While we got a minute. Just right on the edge, because the bulk of it's going to be covered with what we're filling. But I want to get rid of it right near the upper edge. Okay, so I'm just gonna sand away here. I thought about painting it, but I don't think the brown paints that I have are gonna cover it like be the right color. So, okay. And so you can see, right, how it definitely like scratched it up and changed that color. I should have held on to this. But this antique wax seems to be taking it right back to the appropriate brown. And just like that, we have it back to good. All right, well, that's cool. That'll be good enough. There's a little bit of that blue still holding down, but it's gonna be fine. All right, let me make sure I get all of this covered where I scratched it up. Okay, it looks good, right? And now we're back. We're back. Okay, good enough, good to go. Okay, let's scoot this over. We can go ahead and so this is that floral foam that I think I got this particular pack a while back from Goodwill. Anytime I see this kind of stuff in the Goodwill bins, I try to grab it because it's incredibly lightweight. So it's very, very inexpensive there. But I want it to sit a little bit snug, but not too snug. And I may have to, I should have brought in like what am I going to use to cut this? Just to fill in, well, that works perfectly. Just to fill in a little bit to get it. It doesn't have to be, like I said, like perfectly like level or anything like that. I just want to fill in like a good portion of the base here. And we're just going to smash it down. And hope that it stays where I want it to be. Okay. And I just used a metal little, like one of these tiny little metal rulers that cut that foam perfectly. Okay, so let's clean up all of our little fuzzies that we made doing that, because God love floral foam, but it does make a mess. But we're about to make a bigger mess with this moss, so it's all good. Okay, so that's good, that's good. Let's finish up painting our little mushrooms here. Okay, I want to make sure these bases are dry so I can hold on to them. Go ahead and dry this one too while we're at it. Okay, that way I can hold them without getting paint all over me. All right, so the tops are gonna be, you know, just that bright red, that fun, like little, you know, cartoony kind of mushroom. I know there's an actual mushroom, and I looked it up, and there's no way I'm gonna be able to pronounce it right, but you can Google it, red and white mushroom, if you really want to know what the scientific name of it is. But there is actually a mushroom that grows in the wild that looks like this, so we're not completely off base. That paint on that mushroom is still wet, so let's hope this one is not. All right, cool. And we're just going to hold the base, and we're just going to tap all along here. What I thought was cool about these corks is, you know, they have, you know, like the cork texture to them. So they got like the bumps and the grooves and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to look like actual mushrooms that have grown in the wild. All right, I'm going to need quite a bit of this red. So I'm just going to squirt it into this little tray here that I was using earlier for the red. All right, back to it. And just cover the whole top. Like I was saying, it's super fun that, you know, these corks have like the little grooves and the divots and this, that, and the others. So it's going to make them look kind of natural. I may have to go around the base with a tiny little brush, but we may not even worry about it because, you know, the bottoms of these caps typically are like that kind of brown. So it might work out just to look like this. And I don't think anybody's going to come over and judge my hand-painted mushrooms. At least I hope not. They're going to look super cute with my frog decor. Once I get this put together, I'll show you some of like the frog stuff that I have painted. And those are just wood cutouts that I get from a friend of mine who, you guys have seen some of my wood cutouts that I use. But she had like a whole like line of frog related stuff that I got and painted. And I'm just going to turn it into a whole little like entryway display. And it's going to be cool. All right, that's a pretty good start. I probably should dry it. Just so I don't smear it when I set it down. And then we're gonna come back. Oh, these are gonna be adorable. All right, let's do, I got paint on my fingernail. Okay, let's actually do that though with like a tiny little brush. Let's go ahead and kind of fill in this base here. I mean, we got the time. So let's do it just to make it look more finished. All right, cool. Trying to stay off of the white the best I can. But it's all good. All right, so I'm just kind of spinning as I go and just kind of covering up like this base a little bit. Like I said, we're not looking for perfection here because they're mushrooms in the wild. We just want to cover it. And then once we get our red put down, we will be able to add our white little dots, and then our mushrooms will be complete. Then we'll be able to build our base. We've started building our base with our foam, but we're going to fill it in with our mushrooms. And then this bag of moss that I got from a local craft store, I think it was Michael's. But anyway, one of like the little, you know, craft shops, craft stores. They had like all their spring kind of stuff on sale, and this was part of it, so I grabbed it. Okay, that looks good. All right, so let's set you over here. While we got our paintbrush in our hand, let's go ahead and just do the underside of this one, and then we'll be good to go as far as that. And then we can just do our top, add our white, and then just decorate, and we'll be done, and it'll be great. All right, so just quick and fun. So these corks are, like I said, obviously, if you can source them from a local bar, restaurant that serves this type of beverage, this would be kind of a fun project. I mean, you know, make sure they're clean and this, that, and the other, but they would be, and they're cork, they'll dry out. But this would kind of be a fun project to do for some spring decor for anybody, even like the young ones, I think would get a kick out of making their own little, like, you know, like a little fairy garden, or you could do like a little gnome garden or something along those lines. Okay. I actually should pick that up. I just kicked over my Comet. And even though the lid is on it, I would hate for any of that to spill out and bleach my carpet. Okay. So, just dabbing away with our makeup sponge. You go over this as many times as you wanted, if you wanted it to be lighter, darker, whatever. And you wouldn't even have to make them red. But I believe if I... Oh no, I got some red on my white. Let me see if I can clean that up. If not, I'm going to have to go over it. Because I don't want there to be red down there. I just don't. Let's grab another little brush and just cover that. That's not going to work. I have to do it this way. And try not to get it all over ourselves. All right, oops. But anyway, we'll just repaint it. Just paint right over where I got a little wild. Just kind of let that brush sit here just in case I need to do it again. Okay, back to the red. But anyway, like I was saying, you could do, you know, like a little fairy garden or like a little gnome garden or something with these. And make it fun for everyone. I remember when my daughter was little, like fairy gardens were huge. And I don't know, maybe kids still do them, but obviously she's kind of outgrown that stage. But making little like home fairy gardens were huge, like wildly popular when she was like of the appropriate age, you know, when she was little. Kindergarten, maybe even younger than that. So this would be fun. I don't know how well, if you were gonna put them outside, you might want to spray coat them just to protect your paint a little bit. I don't know how well this acrylic would hold up in like heavy rains, but if you were gonna build your fairy garden inside or underneath a tree somewhere where it's not gonna get like a lot of direct rain, I think it would be okay. I don't know. Could always repaint it. Or just use a spray matte sealer or a glossy sealer, something like that. Just to seal your paint. Okay. I am liking the looks of both of these. Let me swirl this around and make sure we didn't get too much red in our white. Where we did, we're just gonna kind of touch it up a little bit. But no, that looks great. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good on all of the paint for the base coat. Okay, so let's get this dry. All of it dry. That one looks good. Let's get this one dry. The top of it really soaked it up. This one dried pretty good. Or actually, I think we already might have dried that. I don't know. Okay, cool. So now we have these two done. We should be done with our red, but I'm gonna scoot that over just in case I need a little bit more of it. We are not done with our white though, but I need to shake it up a little bit. Shake, shake. And we are going to put the dots on it. And I think for this particular dot, I'm going to use, I like to use the end of paintbrushes for this. And I think this is going to work out. Okay, so we're going to hold the base of our mushroom just like this. We're going to take the end of our paintbrush. We're going to dip it into the paint. And we just make a dot. Yep, this is like the perfect size. There is no real rhyme or reason to where you put your dots. You put them where you want. But you just dot and spin. Don't forget the top. And just dot and spin until you have it where you want it. I think one more kind of right there. And this guy. Hey, I love it. We made our little mushroom. Okay. I should have thought this out a little better. Because I don't really want to do direct heat. Okay, so I've got this paper clip that I am going to need to use my wire cutters on. And let's see if we can do this one-handed. Kind of one-handed. All right, so I just straightened out the paper clip. I'm going to use my wire cutters and cut it. And then my thought is that we're going to put the paper clip up into the cork. Pretty good. Just kind of twist and get it in there. If you wanted it to be a little more secure, and maybe we could add a little bit of glue just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. But I feel like if you kind of like just push and twist, it'll go in. And then we'll be able to get it to stand in our foam like so, okay? So let's go ahead and like straighten this one out. That way it's a little easier. And we could actually go ahead and just put, this would have made it a whole lot easier to paint, y'all. Do this first. This would have made it so much easier to paint and hold on to. Okay, so shove your cork, or shove your paper clip in your cork. Yeah, it's so much easier if you do it before you start doing your dots. And then we'll just, see, and now you have something you can hold on to. And now we will do our dots. That dot went a little rude, so I'm going to redo him. But again, like I said, we're never looking for perfection when it comes to these type of projects. We just want it to look cute. All right, we're almost there. Just spin as you go. A couple more dots, make sure we don't forget the top. And like I said, there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to these dots. You just put them where suits your soul. I think that's okay. All right, so I'm gonna shove this into some floral foam down here. Like so. And then take a little paper towel here and just wipe off the end of the paintbrush where we put our paint. And then that is clean and ready to just go back into the bucket. All right, cool. So you can use those little dauber tools if you want for the dots, but not necessary. If you have paintbrushes, just turn them around and use the backside. All good. Okay, so we should be done painting. Let's get our cardboard out of the way. Let's get our wire cutters out of the way. And let's start with the fun part. Okay, so I'm going to be careful because obviously this is still kind of wet. But if I were you, I would just wait a little bit longer before you shoved them in your foam. And I'm just going to kind of go like a little like squirrely and sideways with it. All right, and then like I was saying, my bag of moss, I might use a little bit of our normal moss too. I don't know. I think this is probably going to be pretty good coverage. And now we get to just decorate it. Okay, and this, my friends, is the fun part. So I've got this huge piece down here that I want to dump this out on here. Oh, and it's like wet and spongy. That's fun. And then it's also got some like wood kind of like fungus looking pieces in it too. So anyway, I'm just kind of piling it up here because I really want to get to this dark green. I just like it. And I think I'm going to put it right in the middle like that. I touched one of the dots with my finger. That's okay. Like I said, I would like seriously just wait for your white dots to dry. It's not going to take that long, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to go on with it. All right, and now we're just going to fill in. Just cover up that foam with our moss here. I may end up using a little bit of that other moss just to give it a little bit of color definition and fill it in. You know what? Let's grab some. I've got it right here. Our standard moss, just to give a little bit more color to it. I'll take some scissors and trim off a piece. All right. Fun with moss. Always fun with moss. All right, cool. So let's just kind of spread it out here on my table. Make a big old mess while we're at it, right? Whatever. It's just moss. It's easy to fix. But this is going to give us even a little bit more of like color differentials and texture and just make it look fun. All right, so let's scoop up what we got here. No reason to waste that. Dump that in this little corner. And we're getting there, guys. Spread out our moss. And just keep going. I like the look of this white. So I do want to kind of put a little bit of that in there. And I think I might tuck some down in here. See where we're getting. I feel like we're getting there though. Okay. And we just keep building. We're just going to keep going until we get it to the way we like it. Wouldn't have to do the green. You wouldn't even have to do these like funky little chunky things here, but I like them. And I think, again, they're going to add just a little bit of more, like, kind of a little definition and just a little fun. So let's tuck some in there. Shove some of this underneath here so it really looks like our mushrooms are growing out of this bowl of moss. I do believe I want a little bit more of our regular moss. So let's just cut a tad bit more and shove it down in this end. kind of balance out our colors a little bit. And that should be good for that moss. For real this time. I got it all over me. That's okay. That's the fun of thrifting, is you get to make messes and make pretty things all while making messes. So your messes are justified. Why don't we do a little bit of the white moss here and just keep going with the green on the edge. And this is almost done. All right, I think we've got, kind of press it down. And the cool thing about having the mushrooms on those paper clips, or like I said, you could even use like floral wire or something along those lines, is once you do get it set, if you need your mushrooms to sit up a little higher, a little lower, you can move them around how you want. Okay. Yeah, I think we've got good coverage here. I cannot, other than where I just pulled it up, really see any more of that foam, which is the goal. You want to cover that up. I might add a couple little random pieces of whatever this stuff is around, just like I said, just to give it a little extra texture. What would be cute is, like I was saying, if you were going to do like a gnome garden or like a little fairy garden or something, you could plop one of those right in here, like right in the middle. You know, just have like your gnome sitting in the back. But I don't have any small little gnomies. I looked. Maybe if I come across one, I'll add him in down the road. But, all right, I think we're good. So I'm going to shove all this back in this bag and tuck this away over here so I don't make any more of a mess with it than I already have. Try to get as much of this off my table as possible. Clean up a little bit here. And friends, we have created our cool little mushroom bowl decor. It's gonna be adorable. Well, it is adorable. But, okay, so hear me out. This was our craft that we made. I think it turned out great. Like I said, thrifted items, found items, all good. But then, let me just show you right quick a couple of my, like, little frogs. So, got my little froggy here. I've got, and this is why I was going with, this will make sense now, why I was going with the red and white for the mushrooms, because I kind of already went with that sort of decor idea. And then we're just going to kind of set them up together on my entryway and make this cute little display. I think this turned out awesome. I have a few more different little frogs that I can add to him. And then I also have this, once I find the base for it. I have a box that I keep these things in. I don't think this is the right base, but you'll get the idea. With this little mushroom set here that I painted. And we could even set it up like so. I don't know, something along these lines. Definitely going to play around with it and make sure that, you know, it fits on my space and all that kind of jazz. And then I also have this huge frog. I wonder if I could find something to set up behind it. That would be really cool if I could find like some blocks and somehow get this guy to stand up like behind it so it's almost like he's looking in. I think it turned out great. Let me know, guys, what you think. And then, yeah, as always, I appreciate you guys. That was that. It was fun. It was cool. And it's going to be functional for my decor. So I found little thrifted bowls, some found corks that we painted up, and just a little bit of like moss. And we made a super cute little piece for our froggy decor. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your Friday. I hope you have an amazing, amazing day. I'll try to pop in at some point tomorrow. It may end up being a pre-recorded because I have a very busy day tomorrow. We have a thrift shop hop. So, like, all of our local thrift shops got together and put together this fun little, like, day where you go around all the different thrift stores. They got, like, a punch card, and they're turning it into, like, a fun little day event. So, I volunteered to work at one of them just to help out with the flow and whatnot because we're expecting it to be, like, crazy busy, which is great. Great, great. So, I know that's going to take up a whole lot of my time tomorrow, but maybe after that we'll pop in. Who knows? We shall see. All right, guys, enjoy your Friday night. As always, I appreciate and love each and every one of you. Thank you ever so much for watching. It means the world to me. All right, y'all, take care, and I'll be back soon. All right, guys, bye.